Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Well, we've done the list of the 10 most emotionally draining pieces of orchestral music, and we've done the 10 most emotionally draining pieces of vocal music. Well, now we're going to do the 10 least emotionally draining pieces of any kind of music. All of it. Pieces that require no thought, no investment of personal emotion or feeling or intelligence or anything. Pieces that are completely mindless. And the key here is this is not bad music. This is very, very great music. That's the point. But it's not music that's going to put you through the ringer and leave you sobbing or devastated or limp or numb or any of those things. It's just going to leave you feeling good for having heard a really cool piece of terrific music. And you don't have to think about it at all. And there is something to be said for that, my friends. There really, really is. Because not everything has to have some sort of ulterior expressive purpose. Some things just exist for themselves, purely to entertain, purely to amuse, purely to let you come away feeling better than when you started without having to be exhausted. So here they are. Are you ready for the 10 least emotionally draining pieces of music? Number 1, here it is. Respighi, Feste Romana. And of course the list is down below this video. Yeah, Feste Romana. 25 minutes of nothing but pointless noise. Oh my goodness, was there ever a piece of music that spends so much time saying so little, but doing it so beautifully? I love Feste Romana. I really do. It is just the biggest, gaudiest. It's like, I live in Milford, Connecticut, as some of you know, and the next town over is Orange. And every year there is this sort of competition between a bunch of people in a cul-de-sac on one of the roads in Orange on who could have the most vulgar and excessive display of Christmas lighting. I'm sure you've seen something like that. I mean, this guy, and there is one guy, he has nothing but like lawn flamingos and little elves on his lawn when it's not Christmas. But when it's Christmas, all hell breaks loose. He has something covering every single inch of his house and his yard. And, Orange, Connecticut is like 1 acre zoning. So it's a pretty substantial yard. And he's got the creche, and he's got reindeers and stuff on his roof and flashing and lighting and oh my God. In fact, I live several miles away, but during the season, you can look over there and there's light in the sky. It's like when the searchlights go out in Hollywood. You see that there's this blob of light in the distance over the trees. And when you go over there, all the cars, people stop all the cars and they take pictures of it. It's the most ostentatiously vulgar, but at the same time, it's pretty, it's lit up, it's fascinating. And you've got all the other people who are doing the same thing in the little cul-de-sac down the road. So you can go look at them too. But this guy has got it nailed. I swear, when he switches the lights on, the entire East Coast dims. It's extraordinary. And that's what Feste Romana is. It's the orchestral equivalent of that. An utterly joyous celebration of orchestral sonority in which taste is completely irrelevant. I love it. I just love it. Number 2, Ravels Bolero. Boléro himself called it 15 minutes of orchestration without music. After that, what could I say? That would prove the point any more graphically. If Ravel thought that's what it was, then that's what it was. I don't know anyone who goes home weeping after hearing Boléro. I do know people who are so struck by its cumulative power that they're shocked by it. They are, but, and some people are angered by it. When it was first performed, people went crazy. It caused something of a riot because of its, unmusicality, because of what it was. But that's another issue. That's not emotionally draining. that's offensive. I guess being offended can be emotionally draining, of course, it can be, but it's not the purpose of the music. The purpose of the music is not to leave you absolutely limp with, expressive exhaustion when it's over. Not a bit. It's just another piece that's amazingly written. The sonority is incredible. The tune is catchy as hell, and it's great fun. And you can have sex to it, according to the movie 10. So what the heck? I mean, if that's what works, what the hell? You just go ahead and go for it. It's a perfect example of a totally inexpressive piece of music in the best sense of the term. Absolutely no draining emotion at all. There's no drainage going on there. There may be seepage or stoppage, but no drainage. And that's the difference. Number 3. Oh, yeah. Mozart, Eine kleine Nachtmusik. I mean, talk about a piece that expresses absolutely nothing. It's simply a piece of light, diverting entertainment. The tunes are great. The music is just the essence of charm. And that's all it is. It's the essence of charm. It's delightful. It's relaxing. It's pleasant. And it has absolutely nothing to say of any deep expressive significance. And I think that's, again, perfectly fine. Mozart did it, and he did it extremely well. Because you see, what matters is not what the music is supposed to do. What matters is how well it does whatever it's supposed to do. You can't say that Mozart's intention was to, strike a profound note of happiness or sadness, and he failed. The purpose of the music, in which it succeeds brilliantly, is to divert you for, say, 12 to 15 minutes or so. And that's all we need to have, isn't it? So Eine kleine Nachtmusik definitely makes my list. And then let's see what else we have here. I've got so many. Oh, yeah, this one's great. Hindemit's Concerto for Orchestra. Now, Hindemit's Neue Sachlichkeit period, the new objectivity, was a sort of neoclassical German thing, but like every German thing, it had to have like an ideology behind it, which meant that it was taken to absolutely ridiculous extremes. And the Concerto for Orchestra is a piece of mindless virtuosity for the orchestra. That's what it is. In these early works of Hindemith, it's fascinating. If you look at the score, you've got the strings sawing away like sewing machines and the brass blatting. And I love the piece, by the way. It's so much fun to listen to. But, they're just going chugga, 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 chugga. The brass are going whap, 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 and whap, 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 and whap, 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 chugga, 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 right? That's what it's doing. And over all this in the score, Hindemith writes, ohne pathos, without pathos. I mean, as if you have any choice, as if you would put it in even if you could, as if there were any room for pathos in that music. There's absolutely none. And it's a joke, of course, because, the tempo is like allegro. It's moving along really quickly, and everyone's just sewing away at piles of notes. And what would pathos sound like in that context? I have no idea. But when a composer writes no pathos, without pathos, over his scores, then you know that expressive intensity is not what he's shooting for. And this was not what Hindemith was shooting for. Hindemith was shooting for total objective sound sculpture, abstract form thing. And that's what he gives us. Absolutely. It is one of the world's least expressive pieces of music, but it's brilliant and no less fun for that. So there we go. Then we've got, Morton Feldman, Triadic Memories. That's a piano piece, Triadic Memories is. Morton Feldman's music is based on the patterns of Persian rugs, rug tapestries, and repeated patterns that change very, very slowly at very, very low volume over very long periods of time. I happen to like Triadic Memories because, as the title suggests, which is totally honest, it suggests that the piece is kind of going to evoke your sense of normal triadic chords, but it never quite does. It hovers around them very, very slowly, very, very, very gently. It's as cool and disinterested as passing clouds on a summer day. When you may think you see a face in one or a shape, and it just drifts off into something else. I mean, Feldman is a genius, and his music is absolutely marvelous, but, emotionally draining? I don't think so. Nor was that his purpose. Again, there is music that has other reasons for existing. And Feldman's music, they're like mobiles. They're like sound sculpture things. And I just love this stuff. It's so much fun. So after Feldman, here's something that may be a little controversial. Beethoven's Triple Concerto. Beethoven's Triple Concerto is quite simply the coldest piece of music he ever wrote, bar none, because the purpose of the Triple Concerto, more or less, seems to have been to work out, well, first of all, to write, for his buddies and whoever they were, but beyond that, to work out certain issues of classical concerto form that Beethoven later realized to perfection over the course of the Fourth Piano Concerto. But the Triple Concerto is itself almost entirely thematically neutral. It doesn't mean the tunes aren't good. I mean, I love the Polonaise, the finale. Oh, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful little tune. Some of the tunes of the first movement are terrific too. It's not that they're bad tunes. It's just that they don't have any purpose. I mean, they're not there to express, fear, anxiety, triumph, or any of those things. They're there as building blocks. They are musical Legos. And what Beethoven's trying to do is see how many different shapes he can fit them in. And because you've got, 3 soloists, you're going to hear those tunes quite a few times. And when you hear them, they may assume a slightly different shape or character or a purpose, but that purpose is never to make you weep or to stir your soul or to leave you completely strung out in the need of a good stiff drink. Not a bit. And in fact, the best evidence of it is the teeny, 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 tiny slow movement. You've got all these soloists, but you've got this tiny little slow movement before you get to the quick finale, because Beethoven doesn't have time for expressing anything in that particular concerto. It's true. The Fourth Piano Concerto also has a very short slow movement, but there, Beethoven packs it with an unbelievable fund of powerful, expressive contrast. Here, no. Here it's really an introduction to the finale. Let's get it over with and get to some more quick stuff, because the first movement did what it was supposed to do, and now we just need to have a good time until we can all go home. That's the Beethoven Triple Concerto. And that may be a controversial point of view. I know some of you think it's staggeringly fabulous, and it may be. Fabulous it can be, but it ain't expressive. That it isn't. So much for the Beethoven Triple Concerto. Then we have, an iconic work of contemporary music, Terry Riley's In C. This is one of the great minimalist tracts. First of all, it never sounds the same twice, because, it depends on, you have flexible orchestration. You can have any number of people doing it, basically. And what they do is they all take little bits of melody, and they get to repeat them as much as they want, subject to certain timing constraints. And so, it's a piece of music that never exactly sounds the same way twice. And so you can't say that the composer had any specific expressive purpose in writing it, other than to create the experience of hearing this pattern. It's almost like Morton Feldman, although the minimalist patterns are not atonal in Terry Riley. They happen to be in C, as you may have noted from the title. But the purpose is much the same. The music is an abstraction. It's simply a dynamic shape or form moving in time. And whether you hear anything in it or not is entirely up to you. And if you do hear something in it, you can be sure that you're not going to hear that in it again if it ever gets repeated. So there's nothing inherently expressive in the music. It is a formal construct. And music like that is just not going to, cause you to have a conniption when you're done listening to it, unless you're disgusted, you run away screaming. That may happen. That's a possibility. But it's a magnificent work. It's an incredibly important work, a creative work. And if you're into like abstract art and stuff like that, you will enjoy in C. If you can imagine that it's the same thing and you have the time to put up with it. That's what it boils down to. Next, we're up to number 8 already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You ready? Orff, Carmina, Burana. Talk about a piece of music that doesn't ask you to do anything at all. The music is rhythmic. It's punchy. It has fabulous tunes. It's totally fun, and it's probably the most dumbed down piece of major classical music that we have. I mean, lots of people have said that. I'm not being original in claiming that. A lot of people just hate it because of that. I love it because of that. Again, for me, the criterion is not, that the music should be something other than what it is. It's that it be honest about what it is and that it do what it's supposed to do. And Carmina Burana delivers the goods. It's fabulously fun to sing. It's enormously fun to play. It's short and peppy in its individual numbers. It's a ballet. It's danceable. It's basically about rhythm. It's brilliantly scored, and it's about sex and drugs and drinking and love and fate and all of these wonderful topics, which are all expressed in a medium and a style which is the absolute ultimate in superficial simplicity. I just love it. I love every unimportant, irrelevant note. It's totally fabulous. But an expressive experience? Nah, not a bit. Number 9. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Strauss's Sinfonia Domestica. Now, again, I know people who love the Sinfonia Domestica. I don't particularly. I don't think it's one of Strauss's better works, but it is funny. It's a funny work. It really is. Because it's a day in the life of his family. He's giving the baby a bath and, the baby wakes up crying and screaming and they all have an argument at the end. There's a whole domestic kerfuffle and he makes love to his wife in the middle, which meant that Pauline Strauss was offended and hated the piece for her entire life and thought it was disgusting and embarrassing. And of course she was right, because music which is disgusting and embarrassing is not likely to be expressively potent. And the Sinfonia Domestica, for all of its brilliance and some really good tunes and extraordinary orchestration, is not an expressive masterpiece. It certainly isn't. And again, it's not designed to be, because how much expressive meat are you going to get out of the baby sloshing around in its bath? Or the composer dreaming about himself, which is what happens after the sex scene. It's just not happening in the Sinfonia Domestica. It is a tremendous work, totally characteristic of Strauss, and totally uninteresting expressively. And finally, last but not least, my all-time acme of inexpressive masterfulness, Stravinsky's Agon, his last great ballet. Now, you could take practically anything by Stravinsky, particularly his neoclassical period, really from then on, as being totally inexpressive. That was Stravinsky's purpose. Stravinsky denied that music expressed anything. Of course, that wasn't exactly true. He wrote some devastatingly expressive pieces. Oedipus Rex being one of them. One of you mentioned that it should be in the list of vocal works, the most emotionally draining vocal works. But most Stravinsky has no emotion to drain. That was his intent, and he was very, very good at that. Very good at it. And Apollo, no, there's nothing there. Let's face it. And some of that other stuff, the Concerto in D or the Scenes de Ballet and some of these other things, they are as dry as dust. Oh my goodness. But they are still brilliantly written and often great fun to listen to. And Agon, which was one of his earliest essays or gentle foray into 12-tone composition, has all of that sort of acerbity and dryness of his neoclassical period, with the added sort of harmonic piquancy of the fact that he is starting to venture into serial or 12-note composition, which is not a bad thing. It revitalized his style. at the end of his life. And I think it's a fabulous ballet. I really do. It's an amazing piece, but expressive of anything particular? Emotionally draining? Absolutely not. My goodness. It's completely emotionally sterile. And I love every squeaky, clean, antibacterial bit. I really do. I think it's just marvelous. But it is not going to drain me emotionally. And that's a good thing, because there are times when I want to keep my emotions bottled up. I want them inside. I don't want to let them out. I want to use them for something else. I want to save them for another day. But I still want to enjoy music. I want to enjoy great music. And Stravinsky really lets you do that. He really, really does. So those, my friends, are the 10 least emotionally draining pieces in the history of humanity. Well, at least some of them. I'm sure you will have others, and feel free to let me know what they are. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.